The thumbnail of this video promised you that you're going to master astrology within 1 single hour. So how can I take 10 years of my experience and pack it in such a way and convey it to you in such a way that you're going to understand it and also be able to apply it to your own chart only within 1 hour? So this was the task I was facing by preparing this video, and this is the solution to it. This diagram shows you which information you have to gather from the chart, which questions you have to ask, and in which way you have to draw the conclusion. If you know this, you already know 80 to 90% of the astrology that you can find online on YouTube videos. You will be able to follow along, you will be able to apply it to your own chart and to the charts of your family and friends. So to help you for this, I have created a PDF. You can download it. This PDF you can download in the link in the description. So while you're going down with the mouse and downloading it, don't forget to give a thumbs up, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. And if you have any question, please ask it in the comments. I can make a follow-up video and reply your questions in great detail. All right. So the PDF looks like this. Master astrology in 1 hour. That's a bold claim, but you're gonna do it. All right. This is actually the second part of this Learn Astrology series. The first part was about it was about the software. All right. So this is the software that I have introduced you in the last video. It is called Jagannath Hora, and also we have shortly covered how to read these diagrams. So that will be the first thing to master, is understanding these diagrams, right? So in the last video we have calculated the chart of Elon Musk. So I can pull it up from here, we have saved it. And now let's have a look at this chart here. Why? So I suggest, if you have not watched the video before, you should watch it first. And if you're on the laptop somehow, you should get this software. It's very easy to install. Everything is there in the other video. The link to the video is also in the description. Thumbs up, subscribe, don't forget. All right. Just for that you have a complete understanding of the charts, there are 3 different types of charts. Also, this software can display 3 different types of charts. These 3 charts are the South Indian chart, the North Indian chart, and the East Indian chart. My preferred one is the South Indian chart, where the zodiacs are fixed in a fixed position. Aries is always here, and then it goes around like this. So in this case, here Saturn and Venus are in Taurus, right? Then here Sun and Mercury and the ascendant are in Gemini, and so on. But this North Indian chart, not the zodiac is a fixed position, but the houses is fixed position. And there's always, the first house is always here. And then you go around 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. And you can know which zodiac it is by the number here. So this is first house. This is just an example. There's the number 3, means first house will be Gemini. So we have here the ascendant. The ascendant always defines the first house. If you look at the South Indian style, it is here in Gemini. So that means the South North Indian chart will be like this. First house, Gemini. We can change the display here. Chart style and language. Yes, here. And go to the North Indian diamond chart. And you will see second house is number 4. Number 4 is you see the 4 is here. This is Mercury, Cancer, then 5 is Leo, the moon is in Leo. Here, number 8 is Scorpio, Jupiter's in Scorpio. Here, Mars and Rahu are in the 9th house, in the in the 9th house, yes. In the 8th house. 6th house, 8th house, right. 8th house, this is the 8th house. And it's number 10, it's Capricorn. I'm not so much familiar, I'm not so used to it. I know how to read it, but I always use the other one. Then the East Indian chart, Aries is always here on top, and then it goes in this direction. Here it goes the other direction, here it goes in this direction, and the zodiac is always fixed. So if we now change to the East Indian style, Gemini is here, that means around here the Lagna will go there. So let's change chart to North Indian, East Indian Sun chart, and you'll see here. Gemini, Ascendant, Sun and Mercury there, Venus and Saturn in Taurus, right? So this is the way to read the charts. You might see some astrologers using other charts, so it's nice to know, so you can follow along. All right, but I'm always using the South Indian chart. Because in big astrology, we often read the charts also from the moon and from other planets. Therefore, it's more easy here. Here always you have first house there, and then if you use multiple lagnas like I do, then this will be difficult to use. So therefore, I stick to this chart, right? So now let's talk about the information that you have to gather. So you will find everything you need for this in this PDF. As I said, you can download it in the description. Don't forget to like and subscribe, right? All right, it is... we have it here. So we have already discussed about the chart. So you have then different pages here. The first is about the planets, then the planets' health, their relationship to each other, then the houses, and the zodiacs. I suggest that you print this out and keep it beside you, so you have always all the information ready whenever you do chart reading. So let us just make some examples. So for instance, Mars. How to understand these things. So Mars, his Sanskrit name is Mangala. That's the Sanskrit planet name. Then his key meaning, you have more detailed key meanings here also. His strength, energy, action, brother, friends, commander, earth, fields, fire, weapons, dispute, confrontation. Also engineering is about Mars, surgery is about Mars. So let's say you have Mars in the 3rd house. So you can already say that in this area, strength will be there. You have action, your focus of action will be there. Everything related to 3rd house will be fiery. You will have a lot of fire. Fire also means inspiration. There is ability to organize and desire to fight for justice. This is a warrior. Then the taste is bitter. So for instance, you have Mars in the 2nd house, which is the house of food. That means you will have a liking for bitter things. Or even if you don't have a liking, it is good for you. It will be good for your health if you eat bitter things. Mars is connected to Dhatu, metals. There is Dhatu Mula Jiva. Jiva is about living entities, means animals, people, whatever. Dhatu is about materials, stones, like you work with materials. So if 3rd house, Mars is there, 3rd house is about learning new skills. You will be skillful to deal with materials, like you can work with wood, work with steel, work with clay, making pots and stuff like this. So this ability will be there to work with metals, because 3rd house is also hands, and so on. Then the avatar connected to Mars is Narashingadev. We're gonna, in the next few videos, maybe not the next one, but next one I have planned to have a very detailed series about the avatars. So that will be very interesting and very helpful also for your personal life. So stay tuned for that. And it is about marrow, the bone marrow. So let's say Mars in the 6th house of sickness, then there should be special care be taken for the marrow. So this is the way, the significations of the planets. In that way you read this chart. You have the key meanings. Then the dignities of the planets. So this is a very significant thing. And the way I'm presenting it to you, because of time constraints, I will simplify it a lot. But it is nevertheless very, very powerful. And if you get this right, you already make better astrology than many astrologers, sadly. This is very basic, but nevertheless is so important and very telling. It's very, very, very crucial information you get from this. So how this works is that each planet, they have a relationship between each other, and on 3 levels. The first level is the natural relationship. So naturally, Jupiter, for instance, is a friend to the Sun and vice versa. Naturally, the Sun and Saturn, they are enemies to each other. That means the energies of Sun and the energies of Saturn, they do not mix harmoniously together. There will always be disharmony, a fight, a difficulty. And that is the first level of relationship, is the natural relationship. So this is shown here, natural relationship. Here's a table. So we have Mercury is friend to Venus and Sun, is neutral to Jupiter, Saturn and Mars, and Mercury considers the Moon an enemy. Funny way is Moon considers Mercury a friend, but Mercury considers Moon an enemy. So if you have a Moon and Mercury conjunction, Mercury will be unhappy, Moon will be happy. Mercury will be delighted, and Moon will be delighted by Mercury, but Mercury will be disgusted by the Moon. Anyway, there's a story to this, but it will blow up this video by many hours if we want to tell all the stories that are there. So this is the natural relationship table. So this one is important. Then, besides the natural relationship, there is the temporary relationship, and that is based on the position of the planets right now in the sky, or at the time of the birth, of your birth, respectively. So this looks like this. For instance, now here in Elon Musk's chart, the rule is, as you can read here, as you can read here, any planet in the 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 12th, 11th, 10th from that planet is a temporary friend, and then the others, which are in the 1st, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, and 9th from the planet, are enemies. So it may sound complicated, but it is actually pretty easy. That means the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th from Jupiter, for instance, is 1, 2, 3. Is 1, 2. This is 1, 2, 3, and 4. So this is 2nd, 3rd, and 4th house. Then the 12th, 11th, 10th is just backwards. You go 3 backwards. 12, 11, and 10. So any planet that is positioned within these 6 houses, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, means the 10th, 11th, and 12th from the planet, and in the 1st, 2nd, and 3rd from the planet, these planets are friends, temporary friends. So Jupiter, Moon is a temporary friend to Jupiter, and Mars and Rahu are temporary friends to Jupiter, right? And similarly, Jupiter is a temporary friend of Mars. But now Ketu, the Sun, Mercury, Saturn, and Venus, they're all further away than these houses here. So they are temporary enemies, right? Now, for instance, for the Sun, you have here 12, 11, 10. This is the 12th house, 11th house, and 10th house from the Sun, right? And Saturn and Venus are there, so they are temporary friends. And then the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th from the Sun, there is Ketu and Moon, they are temporary friends. Mercury, though, is in the 1st house. So according to the rule here, those in the 1st house, they are also temporary enemies. So that means Mercury is a temporary enemy to the Sun, and the Sun is a temporary enemy to Mercury. So conjunctions are always a bit difficult. It's not, there's always a clash of interests, right? So that is the second level of relationship. So we have discussed about the first level, that is the natural relationship. And for that you have a table to use the table. Then you have the temporary relationship. And that is according to the placement in the chart. So any planet that is close is friend, and any planet that is further away and conjunct is a temporary enemy. Then the third level of relationship is the compound relationship. So now we take both the natural and the temporary relationship and we compound it, put it together. For that you have this table here. We have the a natural friend and a temporary friend will become a very good friend. So in our example here, we have Mars is a natural friend from Jupiter. Jupiter considers Mars a friend. And Mars is also a temporary friend of Jupiter. So that means natural friend, temporary friend, it's a great friend, a good friend. Adi Mitra. Mitra means friend, Adi Mitra means good friend. Same the Moon. Jupiter considers the Moon a friend, it's a temporary friend, so it's a great friend. So that's really nice. So he has a good friendship going on here. Good real. Yes. And then we took the Sun as an example also. So the Sun considers Saturn and Venus a temporary friend, but if we see here, the Sun, Saturn and Venus are exactly enemies. So now we have here natural enemies, but temporary friends will become neutral. So now the compound relationship of Saturn, Venus and Sun, or this is not, you cannot consider it both ways always, you have to always check, means the Sun considers Saturn and Venus temporary neutrals. Compound neutrals. There's a compound relationship from the Sun to Saturn and Venus. Then the Sun considers Mercury to be, considers Mercury to be neutral, no? Right? The Sun considers neutral, Mercury neutral, and it is a temporary enemy. It's in the 1st house here, right? So we have a natural neutral and a temporary enemy will become an enemy. So the Sun considers Mercury an enemy in this chart. Yes. Then we have also great, if in this case here that is not applicable for this chart, but it could be possible that someone is a natural enemy and a temporary enemy, then it will become a great enemy. Similar, we have here a great friend, but he doesn't has this relationship. All right. So that is the relationship, and then what we need to understand is the dignity of the planet from this. So besides the relationship, this is very important table. This is where the planet is exalted and where he is debilitated. So each planet, this is according to the Vedic scriptures, they describe that when they are in their orbits, they have a very significant point in that orbit where they're attracted to and pushed away from. Anyway, whatever it may mean, doesn't matter, but that is the statement of the Vedas. And that point, that is the exaltation point. It's like where he draws the whole power from, or where the whole orbit is powered from, so to say. So when it is on that point, that is the exaltation point of that planet, where he is full of energy. And then when he is exactly on the opposite side of that 180 degree, that is going to be the gravitation point, where he has no power. You can consider like a pendulum. When it is swinging up, then he has a point where there is almost no force on it. It is just still. And when it comes down, it has the most force. So similarly, the orbits, they have some kind of pendulum effect where there is a 0 point and a maximum point. So these are the debilitation and the exaltation points. And in this table here, for each planet, these exaltation and debilitation points are mentioned, and they're always exactly opposite, 180 degrees. So the sun is exalted in Aries, right? We have Aries is here. So here is exalted, and here it is debilitated. Now in case of Elon Musk, we have Mars in Capricorn. And according to this table, Mars is exalted in 28 degrees Capricorn. And look at that, beautiful. It's really full, deep exaltation. So that makes his personality so capable also. Right. So his Mars is really in the full deep exaltation. It is considered whenever Mars is in Capricorn, is exalted, but in the exact degree, it's again a little bit more effective. So the Mars in opposite would be debilitated. So that is one thing. And then the other thing is the ownership of houses. So there's a difference between own house and Mula Trikona, but this is should not bother you right now. This chart here shows you actually, this also is linked in the description, by the way. You should download it, because here you can see that the zodiac and which planet rules it. So we have here the sun and the moon, and as you know, sun is like the first planets, the moon the second, and then it goes further away: Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn. Saturn is the most furthest away planet. So in this way also this chart, they rule the houses. Here it starts from moon and sun, and then always just opposite: Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn. They rule the houses like this. So Gemini, Virgo is ruled by Gemini, by Mercury. You can see here Mercury has own house Virgo and Mula Trikona Virgo. Anyway, this is not mentioned Gemini, but actually Gemini is also own house. I will fix this table before you download it. Then Venus, we have Taurus and Libra. Where is Venus? Here. Libra and Libra. Anyway, I fix this again. Then Mars, Aries and Scorpio. Jupiter, Pisces and Sagittarius, and Saturn, Aquarius and Capricorn. All right. Yeah, I have to fix the Venus and the Mercury and Moon. Moon exaltation is also in Taurus. Yeah. All right. So now, what you have to understand, the dignity means in what type of house, what type of zodiac sign the planet is placed. Is he placed in the exaltation own house or own house? Is he placed in a good friend's house, in a friend's house, in a neutral house, or a great enemy house, or just friend or just enemy house? So that is the question. And very simply you can set, this is a bit simplified, but it works really well. So if you get this right and you understand this about your own chart, which planet is in a good dignity, which one is in a bad dignity, you can just close your eyes and say, this planet will create problem, this planet will be an asset for you. With planet in good dignity, you can work with it and achieve good things with it, and planets in bad dignity will create difficult situations where you have to invest much more effort to make things go your way. All right. So let's have a look at the sample chart by Elon Musk. And Jupiter is in Scorpio. So Scorpio is ruled by Mars. And as we've already discussed, Mars is a good friend. So Jupiter is in a very nice dignity. It's like the third best. The best is the exaltation. The second best is in own house or Mula Trikona. And the third best is good friend's house. Then is friend's house, then neutral house, then enemy house, then bad enemy house, and then debilitation. So this is kind of the simplified version of dignities. So Jupiter is like in the third best possible place. Mars, we have already said, is exalted, is in a very maximum best place you can be. Then the moon, let's look at the moon. The moon is in Leo. Leo is ruled by the sun. Moon considers the natural relationship. Moon considers the sun an enemy, a friend, and the sun is placed in the 11th house from the moon. This is first house, 12th house, and 11th house. So it is a temporary friend. 11th house, right? Temporary friend. So it is a natural friend, temporary friend. It's a great friend. So the moon is in the house of a great friend, same like Jupiter. So this is nice. You get good results from this. Let's look at Saturn and Venus. So Venus is in Taurus. Taurus is ruled by Venus. So Venus is in own house, very good. The second best dignity, very good. Then let's look at Saturn. Saturn is a natural friend of Venus. Saturn considers Venus a friend. Saturn considers Venus a friend. And Saturn is in the first house of Venus. It's in the same house. So according to this, first house means it's a temporary enemy. So Saturn is a natural friend, but a temporary enemy. Temporary enemy, that means neutral. So Saturn is in a neutral position. So it's neither super exciting, nor it is really things falling apart. Saturn has to do with natural boundaries that a person can take. So he has a tendency to sometimes step over his boundaries, and he's a tech entrepreneur, but sometimes he dabbles inside politics and gives some statements. So this is actually out of his place, kind of, but it's not too much, so he will only get into deep trouble for it. So it's neutral. It's like if Saturn would be in a bad shape, really bad shape, then whenever he would step out of his boundaries, he would really get beaten up severely. But it's just under control. But he will not do damage too much. He will also not gain too much by stepping out of his compound or his kshetra, his field of action, right? So let us have a look at our diagram again. We have now talked about the significations of the planets and also about the dignity of the planets. Now, and we have also talked about the rulership of houses, right? So rulership of houses, you can get it from this table, which planet rules which zodiac. And then accordingly, if we have a Gemini ascendant, Then the ruler of the second house will be Moon, the ruler of the third house will be Sun, the ruler of the fourth house will be Mercury, the ruler of the fifth house will be Venus, the sixth house ruler will be Mars. So Mars is the sixth lord. So that means we have talked about who. It's which one. You can get all the information from this table, planets, grahas, and you know the dignity of them, you know which house they rule. And now let's talk about the signification of the houses, right? So the first house is the house of the body, and then it's yourself, and then it kind of goes further and further away. If you go exactly opposite of the first house, it's the seventh house. And then if you go to the 10th house, this is the complete public. And this is and opposite of the complete of the public thing, because the 10th house is the sky, is what was exactly on top of us in the noon sky. And on the opposite of that is the midnight, the 4th house, which is the inner. So this is like the self. This is the inner psychological doing. Then you have opposite the counterparties, the other people, and in 10 the public. And if you go to second house, it is yourself, and then what surrounds you, what you need to survive, your family, your assets, your wealth, your house, your maintenance, everything you need to maintain yourself. Then the third house will be about that you start to become active in the world. You start to gather skills, and also your friends, not just the most inner circle of family, your parents and yourself and so on, but also the siblings, the co-borns, those who are going to school with you. This is coming here. Then this here is the homeland where you're living in, and also how you feel about yourself. This is the 4th house. Then the 5th house is where you apply yourself into the world. It's the house of creativity. And then the 6th house is all the chores that you have to do, all the obligations that you have, the service you have to give. And then the 7th house is the other people. And then the 8th house is the assets of other people, the 2nd house from the 8th house. And here, this is what you do not know. I mean, what other people have in their mind, what other people do, what other people conceal from you, you do not know. So this is the 8th house. And then the 9th house is again how you apply yourself within the framework of society. And the 10th house is your image in the society. And then 11th house is what you get from all of this. What you get from all of this. And the 12th house is the last, is the completion. So what you give to the world, that is the 12th house. What you can give. And if you were not ready to give, then you will be taken, because there is a giving and a taking. So these are the 12 houses, and these significations you have here in short terms. There is this path, Dharma, Artha, Kama, Moksha. This is like the fourfold path of material life. And it is about, Dharma is always about following, connecting to your purpose, being yourself, or follow also the intrinsic rules of the society. It's also connected to Dharma. Artha is about the gain of wealth, the pursuit of wealth. Karma is the pursuit of your desires, and moksha is the pursuit of harmony and becoming free of all the stress. So you have like the 1st, 5th, and 9th house are Dharma houses. So the 1st house is Dharma house in the sense of your own image, how you feel about yourself. I mean, in terms of your identity, not emotions, identity. Then the 5th house is how you apply yourself into the world, into the or towards outside, how you express this, who you are, into the world, creativity. and also children, what you produce, what you create from yourself, from who you are, what comes from you. That is the 5th house. And then the 9th house is the 3rd Dharma house. This is about how you act within the framework of society. So the society has certain rules and certain expectations, and how you apply yourself in that. So also the teachings, moral teachings of Father, and also the spirituality actually, where you actually then apply yourself in the context of inland God. Because like we ourselves, we are applying ourselves in a family, in society. If you expand this idea of applying yourself to bigger purpose, the last final of this purpose is God. So what actually God expects from you, and this connection to Him, this is then in the 9th house. So that is spirituality, this yoga, that connection, religion. Religion means also to connect to that supreme consciousness as an individual consciousness. It's a bit modern way to say, but that is basically religion, is to approach God. So that is seen in the 9th house. That is then that you apply yourself into the framework of a higher purpose, and ultimately that is God. Then we have the karma houses, is the desires. So the 3rd house is about the preliminary, excuse me, my English is so well, first step you have to take in order to make your desire fulfilled. So anything you want to become a successful businessman, you want to become a successful artist, you want to become learn the piano or whatever, it needs an endeavor. You have to invest time, efforts to learn the skills. And then it's the 3rd house. So I see that it's a very important house in my opinion, because I see if that house is wrecked, people might have potential, but they will never unlock it because they're not willing to go through the first hurdle, the first step. So it's also called a difficult house. So the first difficulties that come to you, I want to become a successful astrologer. Okay? But you have to do it hours, you have to study, you have to learn the tables, you have to apply it, you have to listen more, go to courses, and apply yourself inside that and learn the skill. And you might have potential and talent, all right? But if you're not willing to go through the first steps, you're not going anywhere. So the 3rd house is very important. So that is the 3rd house, is the first karma house. Then we have the 7th house, it's 2nd karma house. That is then we need others to fulfill our desires. So we have to work with others. Like shared happiness is double happiness, right? And the greatest happiness, I don't know, I'm supposed to say this here, but it's actually sex life, right? And the sex life is also seen from the 7th house. And you cannot do it alone, no? You need someone. You have to work with someone. So this is the fulfillment of desire, 7th house. And then the 3rd karma house is the 11th house, where you actually gain. You gain money, you gain status, you gain fame, and so on. That is in the 11th house. It's the final outcome. But it cannot be activated unless you are ready to work on yourself first, 3rd house. And you are able to apply yourself with others and work with them. If you are like socially completely incapable and not able to work even basically with someone, you're not going to get far in life. So you have to be cooperative. So the 3rd house, your own endeavor, capability to interact with others, and then finally is 11th house. You gain. Your desires will be fulfilled, right? Then, so we have talked about the Dharma, and we have called the karma houses. We have not yet talked about the Artha houses, right? Sorry, I'm just checking. I'm on the right screen. So let's go back. here. So we have the second, sixth, and 10th are the Artha houses, the pursuit of wealth, to gather assets. It's not only money, it can also be other assets like followers or properties or gather knowledge. It also can become an asset. The capability to understand higher academic knowledge is 9th house, but then to have it will become an asset. Then it moves to 2nd house, right? So the 2nd house, I believe the second, in terms of Artha, we should start the journey from the 6th house, because the 6th house is the house of service, right? And in order to gain, you have to do some sort of service. You have to be ready to go through the daily chores. Also, that 2nd house is also the assets, the house, the family assets. And you cannot maintain a house unless you are ready to do the daily chores. So it starts actually from the 6th house. That's important. And then it comes to the 10th house, where you have some profession, where 10th house is the position of the midday sky. It's in the very top, and that is the very visible thing. And therefore, when we introduce someone, or somebody is introduced, let's say on the news, somebody introduced, they will say, this is the person so and so. He is an engineer, or he is a Harvard graduate, doctorate, PhD professor, or whatever. So that is the one which is always shown in the front, his profession. So when we do in society, what is our status in society, that is seen from the 10th house. So, but we will achieve that only, that type of asset, Artha, when we are ready to go through the 6th house and do our service. So if to achieve the position of a professor, doctorate, PhD, author of 10 books, you have to have gone through the preliminary service first. First he had to be a student, he had to be under another professor and study there and do his service to him. So it starts from the 6th house, then goes to the 10th house, where he then gets a profession, and by that he will be able to build up his assets. Number 2, 2nd house. So this is the Artha houses. This is kind of how it works. Then we have the moksha houses. 4, the moksha house 4, it's then 8, and then 12. So moksha means liberation, and it means actually to achieve peace and harmony and become free from the stress of the world. So in Vedic understanding, this material world and this material body that we are incarnated in is not our natural state. We're spiritual beings, and to live in this material atmosphere is actually odd. It is like a fish living outside of the water. And therefore, the higher, one thing is the material happiness, which we experience by the contact of the senses with the material atmosphere. I mean, the eyes see something beautiful, the ears, they listen to something beautiful, and we have nice emotional experience in the exchange with others and so on. That is one type of happiness, material happiness. But according to the Vedic understanding, the higher happiness is when we are coming out from all of this, because it's not the nature of the soul. And that is moksha, harmony. Just as a footnote, that is not the goal of life according to Veda. The goal of life is to engage in spiritual activities where we get spiritual happiness. So moksha is more like a neutral state where we come out from the material entanglement, but we are not yet inside the spiritual dimension. It's like like if you have an 8, it's like the middle point. But that one is already so much relief, because all the stress and all the expectation and all the desires that pull us here and there inside the material life, they're gone. So this is this moksha. And it starts from number 4, Sukha Bhava. It's the house of happiness. So here is like the mission statement. I want to be happy. I want to be, when I'm sitting in my own house and I'm peaceful, I want to be happy, right? That is the 4th house, and that's the mission statement. So now, how this will develop? Okay, we have said, yes, I want to be happy, I want to be peaceful, I don't want to be confronted with all types of problems, outer problems, inner problems, relationship problems. I don't want all of these. I want to have a peaceful, harmonious life. The 4th house, the pursuit is stated, right? But then how we can achieve that? So then we come to the 2nd moksha house, which is 8th house. And the 8th house, there we have to go through transformation. It is a very tough to go through transformation. If you're attached, if you're not willing to proceed, not willing to grow spiritually, then it's very tough. So the 8th house is a blessing in disguise. And for those who are not willing to change themselves and advance as a person, the 8th house will break you. So it demands that. So whenever you are in a period of 8th house planets, or you have a very strong 8th house placements in your chart, the possibility is, if you are not playing along with what you're supposed to do, or your karma pushes you to do, if you're not willing, then this will just break you. Therefore, the 8th house is also the house of accidents and sudden and difficult changes. And if we go along with that, it is a great blessing. We can proceed on this pursuit of happiness, of moksha, of harmony, and can proceed then to the 12th house, where we actually are able to say, to let go and feel a higher type of happiness. We can let go of the unnecessary entanglement and become liberated. That is in the 12th house. But it happens only when we are willing to go through this transformation. We are let it happen. So it's like a surgery that happens to us, that this is right, this is not right, this is good, let it go, keep it, go in that direction, this is not good, take it away, give it up. If we don't want to give up, then life will take it away, and then we will cry. But if we are in the right mindset, we let it go, and we become liberated. 12th house, we let go. And then the pursuit of happiness, which started in the 4th house, moksha house, which is the 1st moksha house, that pursuit will be successful and fruitful. All right. So this is the houses. So we have to keep in mind, when we go back to our diagram here, which planet, which house ruler we are dealing with, and then in which house this ruler is placed, and then how it happens. So one big thing is the dignity of the planet. Then we talked about that. If it's a good dignity, we can expect an easy ride, even a very joyful and successful ride. If the dignity is bad, we can expect difficulties. All right. So that is, and then the zodiac. So this is then the last. We've now talked about the houses. This is the zodiac. So if it's Cancer, it's more concerned emotions and the mother, respect, and it's a house that is moving, means it wants change, it wants to move on, it doesn't want to stick to the old one. Actually, this is fixed. I have to fix this table before when you download it. I will have it fixed. And it's a Brahminical planet. It's about also gathering knowledge and understanding things, and so on. Here, Aquarius is It's not it's a Vaishya planet. I have to fix this. And it's also fixed sign. Okay. So now let's apply these information which you can gather from this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pages alone. So these 5 pages will be enough for the next 5 years of astrology. If you just get this right, you have already 80 to 90% you can completely nail. And everything else will be just additional for fine-tuning. But the big structure of your chart is done by having these information and applying them in this manner. Okay, so let us start reading the chart. Mr. Musk, here we come. All right. We have here Elon Musk's chart, and we start from the ascendant, first house. So, who is where? Who is in the first house? And how he does express himself? So this is the question. Who expresses itself where, in which manner? That's the question. So we have the sun. Who is the sun? The sun is, among the planets, he's the ruler, he's the king. It signifies the self-awareness. It also signifies the ego. Then it is a fire planet. Fire is inspiration. Fire can mold things, can transform things. Then he is a kshatriya. He is a warrior. He's a warrior. That means he can manage things. Kshatriyas, they're about managing. They're also standing up for the right thing, right? So he has an image about himself that he is fighting he's doing the good fight. No, I'll fight for free speech. I buy Twitter and fight for free speech. I fight for the environment. I'll make electric cars and try this and that and this to improve the environment. So he's fighting he's thinking that he's fighting the good fight, right? Then the time period is half a year, the sun rules. So he plans his personal life in half-year steps. It's a male planet. So the sun is a male planet. It is about taking action, even instigating action. Females are more receptive. They are waiting for the inspiration and waiting to be inspired. And the main energy is going in, right? Anyway, it's about going in and planting the seed, right? And the female energy is about receiving. So he's initiating action. He's saying, okay, let's do this. Let's inspire. Let's go. And avatar is Ram. We're going to talk about this in very great detail. This will be very interesting. You should not miss this. So definitely get in touch by email subscription. You can go follow the links below or subscribe and to this YouTube channel, right? Then who else is sun? The sun is, when we look at this, the sun is the running Leo, the sign of Leo. It is here. So that is, if you count from the ascendant, 1, 2, 3 is the third lord. So the sun is also the third lord. Houses. The sun is the third lord. This is a karma house. So his self is very much the pursuit of fulfilling the desires. So he definitely is very ambitious in the sense of, I want to achieve this, I'm going to do it. I want this and I make it happen. Okay, so we can also see Mars is exalted, so he has also the power to actually then do it. So the sun is the king and the Mars is the general. So the king develops a desire. I want to achieve this, and Mars has the power to do it. So the third house, and there's some connection. You see, they're just opposite. There's a Rashi aspect actually. So we can see that Mars has, because he's very powerful, he has really the power to make this third house work. And the third lord is in the first house, so he develops a desire. We've talked about that, and he has the power to go for it and make it happen. And the desire is very close to him, means it's really defining him. See it, I want to be this and this, and he's gonna achieve it. So this is the third. Now we're already talking about who the third lord is. It where in the first house. So this shapes his whole. The first house is kind of also the statement who I am and what I want. Then how I will do it is then here, third house. But the mission statement comes from the first house. This is also the D1 chart, right? We have D9 chart. Here the 9th house is important. The D1 chart, everything is based on the first house. The first house sets the tone. So we can also see that if person have a wrapped first house, means planets in bad dignities there, difficult houses which rule that first house, they will have a very difficult stance in life. They will suffer more. So having the third house, the third lord, which is a difficult house in the first house, makes him quite anxious. Means he cannot take it easy. It has to be always, let's go do it. There's always, it makes him quite anxious. Also, especially when we see then how it happens, that this karma, this desire goes to his first mission statement of his life, that this is there. How it happens, this is now when we talk about this. How it happens, we have to look at the dignity of the planet, and we've already talked about it, that the sun is a temporary enemy to the Mercury and a natural neutral, and therefore it is in an enemy's house, right? Just to repeat it, with here the dignity. The sun considers Mercury neutral here, and it is a temporary enemy because in the first house. So we have a natural neutral and a temporary enemy. It's an enemy. So the sun actually is in an anemical house to Mercury. So now, to the question, so how this happens? It happens in a distressful way. It happens in a distressful way. So he's pursued his, so to say, the sun is filed for the justice. His way how he tries to inspire, being an inspiration to others. The way he tries to establish his ego, and the way he's trying to rule his companies and so on. And the way he, third lord, he's pursuing his ambitions and going around to make it happen. All this happens in here, compound, excuse me, nervous here. It happens in a distressful way, not absolute distressful way, or even in debilitation, disastrous way, just in a distressful way. So I think I saw one YouTube video about Elon Musk where he said that his employees are quite strangulated, like in the Tesla factories. There are some scandals or some bad rumors about how hard it is to work there and stuff like that. So we can see that the way he manages is distressful. It's not all sunshine and the way he looks so smart and everything just goes smooth like the click of a button and the AI does everything. No, it is distressful. So this, we have now done one example of how to apply this formula. So now in the end, we're not going to do more for this video. It didn't become too long. We can do what we can do if you're in, I mean, you should be interested because this is really nice, right? And this really helps. And it, I mean, the whole thing, my whole idea of why I'm doing this is that you should learn how to read your own chart. And that will be very, very much more fruitful than you go to astrologers and take a reading for 1 hour. Even if you do that, then that investment will become a real asset for your life, because you will be able to follow along and understand why the astrologer said like this, and you can by yourself expand on that and feel yourself inside the real matter and really understand, okay, I'm in this period of my life and these are the tasks of my at hand, and this is the strategies I can apply to make this period fruitful for my spiritual growth. In the end, it's all about achieving spiritual happiness. You know? The life is about that. If it's just about the pursuit of all the other pursuits, the pursuits for happy relationships, the pursuits for money and so on, they're just there to make a peaceful mind so that in the end you can spiritually grow. We cannot spiritually grow and think we need to have money first and all this first because we don't feel safe. We need first to have this safety net. But once we have this, what are you going to do? Once you have earned your 10 millions and once you have a happy marriage life and the best children of the world, what are you going to do? Then you have to grow spiritually. So that's the end game, right? When astrology is a science from the Vedic scriptures, and the pursuit, final mission statement of the Vedic scriptures is to link the individual soul, ourself, our real being, our eternal being that is beyond the body and mind, to link that with the Supreme Lord, with the Supreme Being, and with that relationship. And that is not the only thing. That is not the only thing. This is a thing of happiness where you do it with everyone together. Then the whole world will become your family and brothers and sisters. And it will all become a constant party like that. And that is the end game. That is the pursuit. Everyone should be happy. That is the statement of the Vedas. And the Vedas want to show us the path to happiness. And Vedic astrology is a link of that Vedic way of life. And as such, it shares the same pursuit, the same mission statement, that it should lead us to a fulfilled life, that we can manage our material necessities easily and in the same time grow spiritually, right? So this is what this astrology is about. And with these videos, I would like to invite you to learn to read your own chart and understand it. And when you have readings with astrologers, or if you like to book a reading with me, you can do so following the links below. That will be a great asset for you, from where you can start to understand yourself, your surroundings better, and learn how to navigate through it, so that the outcome will be a fulfilled life, right? So now in the end, we have now talked about the information. I have walked you through the sheet where you can get this information from. Then we have talked about how to apply the questions and done an example. Now I would like to, in the end, just talk about these 3 arrows here. So when you gather the information, like if I do a chart reading, I take notes and I just start, okay, this in that house, that in this house, then this Lord is that, this. And I make a chart, I gather the information, and once I have this gathered, I try to draw a conclusion, right? And that is mentioned here. And there I've mentioned three ways. So one is to stick to the basics. That means always go back to the original textbooks. So the original texts. So Vedic astrology, everything is there written in Sanskrit in the literature, and they say the sun is like this, the moon is like that, the Mercury is like this, and the table. Here, these tables, this information, this is all coming from the Vedic literature. The Vedas, they say this. They give these degrees. They say these relationships. They say the Venus is water and is Mercury is speech. This is all from the Vedas. So stick to this information. Go back to that. Don't make up your own picture of something and then work with wrong assumptions. Go back to the basics and say, oh yes, the sun actually is also the soul. So the sun also has this pursuit of finding the true self, like that. So stick to the basics, right? This is the first one. Then the second one, let's talk this about last, because I have to expand on that. Experience. So here the experience. Yes, the experience. That is what you have learned from your teachers, astrology teachers, or what you have now listening this YouTube channel. So I say something about this house. So then remember that, and then you can apply. Or you have done chart readings before, and you've seen this person has, for instance, Venus in Cancer, in the first house, and that person has a very unfulfilled relationship. And then you can see, okay, you go to another chart and see, oh, Venus first house in Cancer, and then you can say, oh yes, because Cancer, Venus does not work well with the moon energies in the Cancer house, and Venus is desires and moon is needs that we have, and then you have an excessive desire and cannot fulfill your needs, and that will create tensions in the relationship, especially for women. They will have expectations, and the expectations will not be fulfilled, and that will be very painful. So that's an experience that you can bring in from past readings, from what you've heard from other astrologers, what you have learned from your teachers, and so on. And then unattached thinking. So unattached thinking, it's a little bit a bigger topic, and that ties to the nature of this art. And it is an art, and it's also kind of a priest activity, because in ancient times, astrology was practiced by the Brahmins, by the priests. And in astrology, everything is personalized. Maybe in Western astrology this has been lost or is not practiced anymore through the years. But if we go to the ruled understanding of astrology, it is, or the world understanding of the universe, it is a complete different way we consider the world is functioning than what modern science is telling us, because modern science is only based on sensual perception, and that's the premise they go from. We believe only what we see and can measure, and everything else doesn't exist for us, right? But I mean, you cannot measure your thoughts, right? So there is a dimension to our existence, daily existence, that is already out of reach for science. It's already out of the mission statement of science. It's just out. So science is perfectly fine, but we have to understand that they have their field and their application, but life is just more than that. And I believe if you are came that far to click on a video like this and listen so far, that you would agree that there is more to life than just what we measure with our senses or with extended senses like the machines and measurement tools and whatnot. So the Vedic version says that actually consciousness is a separate thing to matter. There are two energies, the spiritual energy and the material energy. And the material energy has no independent, no independence. So I can take what I have, like this bag here, and it just does what I as a living entity do with it. So the same way, this body and the mind actually is material senses, is material, and they have no independence, and they depend always on the consciousness, on the soul. So the time of death then separates and moves on, and the consciousness is eternal and indestructible, and the matter is just in constant state change. So this body is not the same body I had when I was a child. It's completely changed. But I still feel the same. So this I is something else than what is changing and moving. And also 10 years ago, our mindset was completely different. And our ideas and convictions are different, and they changed now, but still the I is the same. So also the mind changes it. So there is a gross body and a subtle body, and the soul, indestructible, eternal soul, is within that. So everything in this world, as we can experience in our own body, is dependent on the presence of consciousness. So once that moves out, the body is just a lump of matter and will be burned and become ashes, or the worms eat it in the earth. It will be it's just matter that disintegrates again. But as long the consciousness is present, everything is held together and it's working. The heart is pumping, the blood is moving, the nutrients get digested and diverge within the blood system inside the body, and that is all due to the presence of the soul. So this fact can say that consciousness is above matter can also be applied to the universe. So the universal things, that the sun is moving and the stars are moving and the waves are coming and the wind is blowing and the fire is burning. This all also depends on consciousness. And there's a consciousness behind all of these things. And that then, therefore, in Vedic understanding of cosmology, there are gods that are behind that. There are higher living entities, and they, with their consciousness, they control and prevail or submerge inside these things. So the fire burns. I mean, science explains it right. Okay, let's say we have a burning candle. There, this, I don't know exactly, let's say not candle, I don't know. Let's say it's wood. Wood is made out of sugar. And the sugar is C6H12O2, 06, I think, if I'm not mistaken. There are 6 carbohydrate atoms, 6 oxygen atom, and 12 hydrogen atoms inside. And they are somehow connected together, and then they start to intertwine, they will become starch, and then become more, then it's cellulite, it's wood. And when you burn it, then by the heat, some gas comes out from that, which contains these sugar elements, so to say, and they combine with the O2 in the air, and water comes and energy is set free, and that's the fire and stuff. Yeah, that is science, right? So, but these forces are there, that these elements, these atoms are holding together and react to each other in such a way. It is described correctly, but it doesn't say why it happens. And why it happens is the consciousness is behind. So the demigod of fire, by his power, by his consciousness, or by his influence, these chemical processes are happening, and we can witness them, what science does, right? So this is the Vedic idea, idea, and therefore there are like 33 million gods, they say in the Vedas, and all of them they are like micromanaging each single thing that happens in the world, the fire that burns, the wind that blows, and even within this body, the digestion that goes on, the evacuation of stool when we pass, and the hair, the growth of hair, the ability to listen. So all these processes, they are micromanaged by gods. That is the Vedic version. And in the end, they are all empowered by the one Supreme Lord. So outsiders with a very poor fund of knowledge who do not understand what the Vedas say, they will say, oh, this is paganism, this is polytheism, but they do not understand that all of these gods, they are living entities like us. They're just incarnated in higher species on higher planetary systems, and they're given this power, and this not even power also, they're given this duty to take care of these things, but by whom were given this power? By the Supreme Lord, by the one Supreme God, the same God that the Muslims, I hope so at least, worship, the same God like the Christians that Jesus Christ told us about, the same God that Jesus Christ told us there's our Father and we should have love for Him. And I don't know Judaism, no idea what is it about, but it's the same Supreme entity. And in order to manage this cosmic manifestation, there are many ministers, so to say, to the one Supreme Ruler, and they are micromanaging all the small processes that science then witnesses, but actually doesn't explain why. Anyway, I could go on for hours about this, right? But let's keep it here. Like, if we go on science really deep, like even how the cells are working, I had due to my job, I had some lessons with a pharmacist who has created some cream which we were selling, and he explained how this works and how this compound that is in this cream is interacting with the cells. And he says, okay, that's, all these things are there, but we actually do not know why this happens. It seems like there is some kind of information that comes from outside that induces these processes within the cells. That is, he said. He said we don't, and he's a scientist, and a very nice scientist, very renowned, not very famous, but on the top of his game, you know. And that is what he said. So if science describes correctly what we see, but why it happens, it cannot describe, it cannot explain it. So why I'm saying this is that in astrology we're dealing with these entities, these gods who are ruling different things. So Venus is a person in the end. It is a living entity like us, that is not incarnated in a human body, but in the body of a higher being that has power, given the duty and the power to do these things for some time. They also change, their bodies change. They are these for some time, and after millions and millions and millions of years later, these both change. So all the aspects of astrology are ruled by persons. So as an astrologer, we are, so to say, approaching these spheres of existence and asking questions. So the priests or the astrologer is like on behalf of the one who comes to him and asks a question. He approaches that higher sphere of existence and asks question. And that cannot be done in an arrogant manner, we cannot exhibit our pride in this. So therefore, I'm saying here, unattached thinking. Like, we have to think, we have to gather the information and think what might it be, but you cannot be, I know, I am a doer. So therefore, we have to take a step back. We have to pray and receive. And that can be then called in intuition, whatever you may call it. But we're trying to connect and get an answer. And so therefore, when we lay out all the information, we gather all this information. And we also have our experience from previous readings, and we are sticking to the basics given by the Shastras, by the scriptures. But the special mix, the special sauce, so to say, is then your purity and ability as an individual to receive answers from the higher realms. All right. So this is the unattached thinking, and in that way you draw a conclusion, and then you draw conclusions and conclusions and conclusions and conclusions and conclusions, and in the end you have the picture of the person. So, and that is astrology. So I believe I have been gone much over an hour. So my claim that I can put all these 10 years of experience in 1 hour, that claim a bit failed. So I apologize for that. But I believe it's. I hope it is understandable. If you have any questions, I would be really, really curious what you would like to know, and I'm more than happy to answer it elaborately in other videos. And please put it in the comments. I will get to it as soon as I can. If you want to know more about me and what I do, and you would like to engage further, there's also a link below. You can follow my other channels as well. And yeah, I wish you all the best, and welcome to the journey of spiritual growth with the use of Vedic astrology. Hare Krishna.